Hello, and welcome to the American Family Insurance DreamBank, where we believe in the transformative power of dreams. My name is Eric Lopez, and I am a dream curator here at DreamBank. And on behalf of our team, we're glad to have you with us. For those of you who have attended our virtual or in-person events in the past, welcome back. For those that are joining us for the first time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to DreamBank. Here at American Family Insurance, we believe communities are stronger and the future is brighter when people are actively pursuing their dreams. That's why we created DreamBank, an inspirational community destination and digital experience dedicated to dreamers everywhere. From our daily event series to immersive signature programs, there's something for every dreamer. Our offerings are designed to help you celebrate your dream journey, overcome obstacles, and stay motivated. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker, Abby Waters. As a healthcare professional and consultant of over 12 years, Abby has naturally invested in the success of individuals and organizations. She has always loved both people and science. She is the creator of PeopleScience Solutions, a platform that focuses on training healthcare employees and managers in the sciences of DISC, emotional intelligence, motivation, and stress management. PeopleScience Solutions offers certification courses for leaders who want tools for self-managing workplace development. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll let Abby take it from here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here back at the DreamBank, and today our topic is revolving around the science of motivation. And a lot of people right now, because it's the new year, they are working on their New Year's resolutions and their goals. And so motivation is just such a timely topic, no matter where you're at right now. So what is motivation? Well, it's this intrinsic thing inside of us that helps us get out of bed in the morning and gets excited about our day. It's a hidden force that energizes us so that we have the propensity to move towards our goals and tackle a career or a project with ambition or enthusiasm. And really, motivation is innate in all of us. We each have unique motivators that drive us to do what we do. However, many people don't learn how to harness it in their life and actually define it for themselves. And so today we're going to dive a little deeper into that. But using motivation or the science behind it can help you feel engaged in what you do day to day, rewarded beyond just money or other extrinsic rewards, and it helps you feel energized too. So the true definition is it's a passion to work for reasons that go beyond an external drive for knowledge, which is important to pursue education or to learn, a passion to go beyond just working a job, or a passion to go beyond just having relationships with other people or having simple goals. It really propels you and helps you pursue what you want to do with that great energy and that persistence to go after it. So stop and think for a moment. If you're not motivated by something or driven by it, how does it impact your level of engagement or performance? It's been said that motivation is this proverbial lightning in a bottle. If we could bottle motivation and sell it at Target or Walmart or Costco, it wouldn't stay on the shelves because it's something that everybody wants and it's something that everybody needs. But if you're not motivated by something, a certain project, or maybe you don't like the job you're in, or maybe you're motivated to change your health, how does it impact you if it's something that you're not naturally drawn towards? You see, the secret lies in people who can answer why they do what they do. They're proud of what they do, they have passion behind what they do, and it's so much easier to be around somebody when they like what they're doing versus somebody who is negative and they hate their life or they hate what they're doing day to day. And so we know that people perform at much higher levels in a career or in pursuing a dream when it's something they're actually motivated by. I was recently at a gathering and I met somebody who started a surfing business. And it's not a surfing business near an ocean. It's actually here in the Midwest in the state of Wisconsin. And the interesting thing about this person is he took his hobby or his passion for surfing and turned it into a way to connect with other people, a way to earn income. And the most interesting thing about this conversation that I had with this new entrepreneur is his passion, the excitement in his voice, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about what he was doing. And it was really contagious. It's really fun to be around people who are enjoying their life and who are excited about what they're doing. So the question today is, do you know what you're motivated by? That's really important to know that as we move forward and take some notes and consider, what do I want to get out of this session today? There are many positive results for learning motivation. One of the main things that I see when I work with companies or go and work with employees and managers is people are motivated by different things. If you walk into an ice cream shop and there are 5 customers in line, chances are those 5 customers are all going to order a different flavor of ice cream and maybe put different toppings on or get a different order altogether. Well, it's really the same way when you look at individuals. Everyone has these unique motivators, and it's important to know how to harness them and engage them. And to recognize that since we're all motivated by different things, instead of conflict around that, we could have a greater, broader understanding of self-awareness and social awareness, which is really improved emotional intelligence in a workspace. And then motivation helps us understand the why. So when we break down this science, as opposed to personality science or behavior science, that's talking about the how someone behaves as an individual. This one's a little different because we're just saying why from day to day. So motivation really helps us improve in our daily role overall too. Now, we know that motivation and enjoyment of a job or a business or starting a side hustle go hand in hand. And K-Force put this statistic out not too long ago that half of employees would sacrifice their salary as much as 29% of it to work a job they enjoy. So we know that people are not just motivated by money. They would rather enjoy the aspects of what they do and maybe reduce their salary in trade for that enjoyment. And when people are not motivated, there's a very strong connection to high levels of stress. Okay, you can imagine you're not engaged, you're not performing well, you're stressed out, you don't feel good day after day. And this is a little bit older of a stat, pre-pandemic. I'm sure it's changed with the pandemic, but only 35% of people are satisfied with their amount of on-the-job stress. So that's not a great statistic when we're looking at how people feel in relationship to their work-life balance. And that has a lot to do with probably working in positions where they don't feel like their motivators are being used. So the old world of work is you get a salary, you get benefits, and you get time off. That's the old world of work. And nowadays, what we need to understand is people are looking for so much more. The company or the business or the organization needs to really engage the employee, or the managers need to be engaged even by the company on what they value or what they're motivated by. This was put out yesterday on LinkedIn by Ariana Huffington, and this is really valuable information from somebody who studies workplace culture and who's somebody's a real big thought leader in understanding what's happening nationally. She says the Great Resignation is really a great reevaluation. So if you're not familiar right now, we have a huge problem in our economy with people leaving jobs and quitting jobs, and we have a lack of workers, especially lower income workers. People are resigning from is a culture of burnout. Again, that stress piece and a broken definition of success. What they thought was successful was maybe go to college, spend a lot of money, get really high student loans, only to graduate and say, I don't like what I'm doing. I'm into debt. What I thought was going to be successful wasn't, or maybe I tried to work this job for a very long time. I got paid very well, but I didn't enjoy it. So in quitting their jobs, people are affirming their longing for a different way of working and living. And certainly because we've had this new age of remote work, people have learned their job can be more flexible. They don't have to commute. It's really changed the landscape of employment and people working in our country. It's also known as, some people call it the Great Resignation. A different way to rephrase it or look at it is the Great Reshuffle. People are getting into the gig economy. They're freelancing, they're starting side hustles, they're becoming solopreneurs, or maybe they were solopreneurs and they're expanding into serial entrepreneurship. So a third of people right now are filing as 1099 workers or independent workers. It doesn't mean that they're not still working a primary job. I don't have the stats on that, but it means that the gig economy is really booming right now. So maybe you're an employee and you want to increase your motivation at work. That would be great. Maybe you're a manager and you want to learn, well, how do I motivate other people? This is actually something that happens in my practice or my coaching practice. I get this question a lot. How do I motivate employees? And it's a great question. It's a question that I'm happy to help people with and solve, because we really need to get to know individuals and again, go back to what they value and engage them on that. Or you may be thinking of starting a side hustle, freelance work on the side, or a solo business. And obviously, high levels of motivation would really impact this, especially if you're the one who is responsible for getting something off the ground. Now, to get into a little bit of evidence-based research, which is something that I appreciate, I always look for science about human behavior to back up what we can do to help individuals with these different topics. And one of the models that was proposed back in the 1920s was through a famous psychologist named Edward Spranger. And he published a work called Types of Men. And in this book, he looked at 6 motivators that people usually fit into on a continuum and the implications of how people function on that continuum. So what happened with this research is that it actually got turned into an assessment. So we can now measure motivation in individuals the way we can measure behavior or emotional intelligence. And so the methodology and the terminology I'm going to talk about for a few minutes, hopefully you'll start to think about your why and why you do what you do based on these 6 categories. So our 6 categories are knowledge, others, surroundings, utility, power, and methodologies. So first we'll look at methodologies, how people approach things on a daily basis. And some people score very high in either one of these, and some people might score in the middle, and it could be situational depending on the person. But maybe you've met somebody, or maybe this is you, with a high motivator and receptivity. Somebody who's highly receptive is that think outside the box person. They're always looking to challenge the status quo. They are very creative. They're looking for new ways and new ideas to try things or complete routine tasks. So very, very creative in their vision. And maybe the word can't is not in their vocabulary because they're open. They're open to whatever could be done that's new and exciting. And one of the blind spots could be maybe pushing other people too quickly for a change. But overall, neither one of these are right or wrong or good or bad. This is just how somebody's motivated. They might wake up in the morning and be excited to tackle something or try something new or think, I think I could try it a different way or a better way. Versus people with a structured driver, they might take on the approach of, if it's not broken, don't fix it. They like the stability or the methodology of, well, we have always done things this way, so let's keep working because the system is working for us. And so they work very diligently to advance that, either through themselves or through a company. And they're very patient if there is a change involved. They're very good at stabilizing people if there is a big change involved in employment or in work. So you can see the two differences and why there could be a clash sometimes, or an overextension of one. So if an overextension of somebody who's very structured is, they might be stuck in their ways and they may not be able to pivot into something new, and they could really miss out. And a blind spot could be a receptive person is too aggressive, moving things forward too quickly. So just a little bit of a difference there in how people approach methodology. And it could be your top one, your top motivator, or it could be your bottom motivator. Just depends on where you would score. And the next category is others. So we all view relationships differently. We're all motivated by relationships in different ways. And a lot of people, when this topic comes up, the topic of others, they tend to think one is good or bad. And neither one is. They're both neutral. So intentional motivators, when people are looking at their circle or their relationships, they're very purposeful and strategic. So they're looking at what is the future focus or the benefit out of what this is. Doesn't mean they're using people or, it's inappropriate in some way, shape, or form. It could be, but generally speaking, we're not saying that. We're saying it's neutral. They're very strategic in how they approach it. Versus somebody with altruism as a motivator. And I see this when I work with a lot of people in nonprofits or charities or health and human services. They're very giving. They give to people in need. It fills up their cup. They're motivated day after day to continue to give to people in need. And they thrive while working to benefit other people. The downside to high altruism as a motivator is it could be overextended in the sense of maybe a lack of boundaries, maybe giving too much at certain times or feeling responsible if you didn't give enough. Versus intentional could kind of come across as not, warm or open in that motivator because it's so purposeful and so strategic that they really need to work on communicating well and including people into their thoughts and feelings in their process. So you can see how if it's overextended, there could be a way to misuse your motivator that doesn't benefit you or anybody else. So really want to harness it and kind of find that balance as you figure out where you land. And then with utility, when it comes to how people work, some people are motivated to give selflessly. They invest their resources, their time into a task, a project, regardless of a time constraint. So people with selfless motivators, they don't appreciate deadlines. It actually stresses them out. So if I have an employee who is high and selfless, as maybe motivation, they score highest in this category, their manager definitely needs to know this about them because otherwise they're going to have a lot of conflict in a workplace setting. They need a lot of time and they need to know that they'll get the job done, just maybe not under a lot of pressure. Versus people who are highly resourceful. They're motivated by maximizing productivity, focusing on getting a return for their money or their time. And it actually stresses them out when they see things that are being wasted. So, this is an interesting one too, that you can see how these two would clash. So if you are working with somebody, or if you feel highly resourceful, you could start to notice a lot of high level of irritation if you feel like people are wasting your time, or they're just not focused on what the end result is. And when it comes to productivity or maximization. So you can see how the two are different and how when they're harnessed appropriately, they both contribute at healthy levels. Next, we have knowledge. And people approach knowledge in two different ways. They're either motivated with an intellectual driver, which is people that you'll talk to them, and these are the perpetual students in life, right? They have a million degrees. They're always reading on the weekends, or they're just so motivated to acquire as much knowledge as possible. And it really energizes them. They feel so rewarded when they can tell you a random fact that they just learned, or maybe they are reading a book about becoming a pilot and they want to tell you about that. You've met these people. They're reading, they're intellectual, they love learning for the purpose of learning. Versus people who are instinctive. They are learning for a specific purpose. They're also those people who talk about using their intuition a lot, right? They use their intuition or what's happened in the past to guide them into the future. They've learned from what didn't work before, and that's what propels them through knowledge to make decisions going forward. So people that are highly instinctive, they get very annoyed if they can't, sort of get the knowledge they need and then make a decision or pivot into it. And intellectual people, sometimes they get bogged down, too much information where they're not making a decision. So you could see the two in how, if you don't harness that motivation appropriately, you could get kind of stuck or kind of self-sabotage yourself. Surroundings. This one is very interesting to me, especially when I go into corporate offices or meet with small business owners and I start to kind of sit with their employees. This one comes out very specifically for a lot of people and how they're motivated and they show up at their job. So people that are objective, they're driven in their surroundings they can work in chaos. They can work in a back office cubicle with not a lot of light or plants, or harmony doesn't really matter to them. They can sort of just work wherever. They might be able to just plop down into Starbucks and get their work done, which is great for remote workers who have high objectivity. They might be able to work when their kid is in the next room doing virtual learning and it doesn't bother them. People with harmonious, however, they need balance in their surroundings for productivity. So if this doesn't exist, their productivity and their performance actually might lower, and they might feel a lot of stress or tension. So this motivator is very important to them. The higher this goes on the scale, the more intentional they need to be about making sure this is in balance. So harmonious would, you'd walk into somebody's office, you could immediately tell if they're harmonious. They might have lamps, they might have plants, they might need to put their desk near a window. They might need some quiet to focus. They maybe can't share an office with another person because that would be very distracting for them. So this is very important. Aesthetics and how people feel in their environment definitely can impact motivation and performance. And then I think this is our last one. We might be on number 6, power. Another very, very observable one, in my opinion. People that are collaborative, they are motivated to contribute to the success of a team. They love to kind of, be in the background, supporting what is the team achieving? What are all my employees in my small business achieving? They're very all about, or maybe they're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, and they're very supportive of other people. Okay. And generally, we see people that are more solopreneurs or entrepreneurs with a commanding driver. This is people who they believe in controlling their own destiny. So a lot of those people that are part of the gig economy, I would love to do a study and survey how many of them who have kind of taken things into their own hands and started to work for themselves. How many of them actually have a high commanding driver? How many are motivated by this intrinsic desire to control their own destiny and advance their own status or position? They love to sort of lead the parade and kind of bring people into that vision with them. And so oftentimes this one shows up really high in employee situations that people are just missing. Let's say you put a person with a high commanding driver into a customer service support role behind a desk. and all they're doing is just answering phones all day long and doing administrative paperwork for somebody behind the scenes. They're not going to be motivated in their job. In fact, I guarantee you they'll quit within weeks or months because it's not exactly, kind of what they're motivated by. So if they're a commander, they're going to need some opportunity to, have their own control over some things. They don't just want to be told what to do. They need to have some freedom over that. Now, it doesn't mean they're not a team player. I don't like when people put things in boxes like that. Well, if you're collaborative, you must be a team player. If you're a commander, you must not care about the team. That's not true. Again, nothing is good or bad or right or wrong. This is neutral in how people are motivated. So we don't want to think that way. We want to accept all kinds of motivators out there. But this one does show up quite a bit, and it's pretty easy to spot. So those are the motivators that kind of you can easily identify in yourself in those 6 categories. And it's important to know when you score and you kind of see where you are, it takes you into another realm of, well, what am I energized by? And then what am I stressed out by? Because part of motivation is decreasing that stress and putting a lot of your energy into what makes you feel good or what energizes you. So if we know what energizes us versus what stresses us out, we can have a clearer picture of how to continue into the right direction for us. So we asked, what are the 3 top things in your last position, or maybe an internship, or maybe the top 3 things in your small business, your entrepreneur journey that you feel motivated by the most? Is it the relationships? Is it the fact that you get to control a little bit of your own destiny? Is it being resourceful and really, knowing that all the ducks are in a row, so to speak, with productivity and maximizing time, and that you're saving money? What are these things that motivate you the most? And what are the things that you dislike the most? And you write those 3 things down in those 3 categories, start asking yourself questions around that and start to do some self-investigation so that you, going forward, exactly what that looks like for you. Now, it's interesting because when we assess employees pre-pandemic in their motivators, and we assess them post-pandemic, or here we are in the middle of it, but it's still going on, people have changed. And again, this goes back to what people are starting to notice, what they value, how they want to work. Like that quote from Arianna Huffington, people are burnt out. What they thought was good for them isn't good for them anymore. And so really getting to know these things about yourself on a deeper level is so powerful, especially going into the future. And if you're struggling with motivation, like so many of us do, especially if the weather is terrible or something in our life has happened, circumstances that have been unfortunate or traumatic. And this can really kind of ebb and flow throughout our lifetime based on what's going on around us or where we feel like we are personally and professionally. So you want to really dive into what are some ways that keep you engaged? What do you really enjoy? And spend more time doing that. I gave a seminar, I think last spring at a large national healthcare conference. And there was one woman who told me, I don't dislike my job. I go and I punch a clock from 8 to 3 every day. But you know what I'm really motivated by? I'm motivated by my garden and my greenhouse. Of course, she probably was really high and harmonious. The aesthetics of the surroundings just really filled her cup. She just had so much joy from that. And so if you're here on the call today and you're saying, I don't think I can just quit my job, but you're like this woman who's like, I have a balance right now in my life. My garden really motivates me, and I have enough time in my day where I can continue to do that so that my stress level isn't getting out of balance with my job. That's really important to know about yourself too. And they said on National Public Radio last week, the average American has an extra 5 hours of free time every day right now. I don't know if that's because people aren't commuting as much, or if they're, scrolling or doing social or watching movies. I don't know what that 5 hours is, where that's coming from. But so certainly there could be something you could do to maybe, if you're struggling with motivation, investigate to try to add more of that into your life and get some more joy or energy. Here's a couple of resources. I'm actually reading Jen Sincero right now. And I think this is my first time reading her. It's kind of been interesting to look at motivation in regards to habits. So there's a correlation there. And so if you want to strengthen habits and get out of certain patterns that aren't serving your brain, that would be a good book to read. And then Atomic Habits, which is a really hot book right now, still is, by James Clear. This talks a lot about motivation too. And this is a quote that I find very powerful. So James Clear says in that book, the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes a part of your identity. So it's one thing to say, these are my top 6 motivators. These are the 3 things I'm really high in. It's another thing to say, well, this is what I really want for my life. And so I'm going to constantly move in that direction to pursue it. Versus these are just what I'm motivated by and not doing anything about it, but harnessing it and saying, no, I'm going to actually create habits around what energizes me so that I do more of that in my life. So I thought that was a really powerful quote. I believe Brene Brown is interviewing him soon on her podcast, maybe within the next week or 2. So that would probably be a great follow-up program to listen to an expert on habits. And so another resource would be, you could seek out a life coach or somebody. I know DreamBank has free dream coaching, somebody that could really help you boil down that motivation in more of a personal way too. So the thing we know about dreams is that they must turn into action. It doesn't become a reality unless you actually do something with it. And so I think many of us have things in the back of our mind that we think we want to be different in our lives. We dream about it. We have a thought process. It's in our subconscious mind, even on a daily basis sometimes. But we don't take small steps towards what it could be to turn into an actionable plan. And so the first thing is, ask yourself, what am I motivated by the most? Maybe my top 3 motivators, or the 3 things that I value or I want my life to have more of in. And then you can take one small step today, just one small thing that might get you moving into that direction. Oftentimes it's just one little thing. We think we have to create this big change overnight, which you'll learn in those books about habits. That never happens. It's small changes that add up over time. Which is really hard for people who want to get there as fast as possible, but that just doesn't work for a lot of people. So you can create a plan, you can create a timeline, you can meet with people that will keep you accountable. And they say, if you're going to do anything, make sure you have a great support group or friends or supportive people around you. So that's very important too. And then identify. This is one of the things I've learned as a coach working with people is mindset. What is holding somebody back from doing something? Maybe talking to your manager and saying, I'm really stressed out. I'm really burnt out. I don't think we're using my motivators here. Can we change things? That could be fear-based. Go ahead and do it. You'll never know if you don't do it. Or employers or managers having conversations with those employees and saying, how can we engage you? We don't want to lose you. You're so valuable to our team. What motivates you? Or what can we do more of besides a paycheck or PTO or whatever? What do you need more of? And then opinions of other people. A lot of times you'll meet entrepreneurs or people starting a new business and they get so discouraged because people have all these negative opinions about what they're doing or how they should be doing it. And let me tell you, there's this quote out there that says, other people's opinions don't pay your bills. Okay, so don't let that hold you back. Don't be too hard on yourself. And there's never a good time to make a change. It just has to happen. So the last thing I'll leave you with today is this lovely quote, which should inspire all of us to look more into motivation and to go after what we really want in life is start where you are, use what you have. That must be a resourceful person, and do what you can. Again, small changes. And I'll stop sharing my screen and maybe we can open it up for questions or dialogue. But I just appreciate being here today and being able to share a little bit about the science of motivation with all of you here through DreamBank. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abby. So yeah, I'm looking here in the comments section, and actually, so Amy asked, how long should I wait? Oh, I guess this one's more for me. How long should I wait for the recordings to be posted on Facebook? Apparently she was looking for an event that she attended before and she couldn't find it on Facebook. Just letting you know, Amy, actually, I am responsible for uploading our videos now to YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. We're kind of staying away from Facebook a little bit. We're posting several things, but not everything. So the link has just been shared there if you want to go ahead and follow it over to our YouTube channel. I believe every Friday I upload the YouTube videos that have happened throughout the week. So you should be able to find it there. If not, you can send us an email and we'll do our best to get it over to you. So also, Abby, Jennifer went ahead and commented that she is reading The Power of Habit. Why do we do what we do in life and business? And she says that it's also an excellent book. And then Kermit says there's a book also called Tiny Habits, and it's another book about strategy, and that it's also very good. And then yeah, Jennifer also says great presentation. Thank you so much. I don't have anything else on my end to add. If I'm going to give it a second here to see if there's anything else anyone wants to write up. But I just want to, thank you for your time, and I'll go ahead and just let people know that, here at DreamBank, we truly believe in the power of dreams, and we celebrate that our community is made up of fearless dreamers. To all who tuned in, we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to continuing to learn, grow, and dream together. You can learn more about upcoming DreamBank events and content designed with your dreams in mind at anthem.com/DreamBank and by connecting with us on our social channels. On behalf of American Family Insurance and DreamBank, we look forward to hosting you again. And until then, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.